Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts are meant to give everyone a voice, a chance to speak with others who are passionate advocates for expanding the blockchain's use cases out into the world and beyond. Do you have a crypto community you would like to represent and hold open hangouts for? If so, you might find yourself on the path to owning a stake in Beyond Bitcoin. We are looking for people who care about people who want to bring others together, because crypto communities are people. Beyond Bitcoin is a movement of thinkers and doers in the crypto space. And if you feel you are one of them, reach out to beyondbitcoin@gmail.com for more information on how to debut your community's efforts to reach to the stars and beyond. Welcome everybody to another Beyond Bitcoin Hangout. Today is Friday, May 27th, 2016. All right, so it looks like everybody here is familiar, but for anybody who's listening in and is not familiar with the process of this, generally how we start this off is with a real quick introduction of anybody who feels that they would like to speak today. Those who join up, there's one addition that has recently been added. Those who join up, who have already posted to the Beyond Bitcoin sub Steemit, to the RSVP, you will be given precedence and priority over those who have not posted there. Those who are upvoted the highest are going to be given priority in the order of one. So those who have the highest voting power, voting up their comments, will be covered first. Now, with that said, let's start up with the real quick intro, and then we'll go forward.
Good day, everybody. My name is Jonathan Bahai. I am the president of Bunkerchain Labs Incorporated, and I am representing the Peerplays project.
Hello, my name's Dan Lerner. I am the founder of BitShares, co-founder of Steem.
My name is Fuzzy. Obviously, I am a volunteer of Beyond Bitcoin. I have been running these hangouts for about 2.5 years, somewhere around there. So pretty much know all the faces and names here. Sounds like we've got 3 people here who have joined up today to give updates. Data, would you like to get started, since I'm looking here and you have had Crypto Prometheus post about you guys giving an update today?
Yes. Unfortunately, Michael couldn't join us today due to his internet going down. He's terribly sorry. But sadly, part of our update today was with him. And so because of the situation, you guys are going to have to wait until Monday to find out about it. But in the meantime, Peerplays is moving ahead very well. We're continuing to receive contributions. This week, we solved a problem that was happening with our cart. We didn't realize that a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but people who were using a proxy server or anonymizing their IP weren't able to contribute to Peerplays due to the high security settings we had on our cart system to accept contributions. So after some investigation, we realized what was going on, and we made adjustments. So anybody who had trouble contributing to Peerplays due to that can now be able to contribute without issue, hiding behind a proxy or using an anonymized IP for their contributions. So we were able to solve that this week. We also, in case you didn't notice it, got featured in Bitcoin Magazine. And that was a result of our PR last week. And we were contacted by them and interviewed. And that took up quite a portion of our week. And the article went out yesterday. So very excited about that. The response we've gotten has been awesome. And because of it, it's actually opened quite a few new doors for the Peerplays project, and everything's looking really good. So besides that, we were going to make another major announcement. That was going to be Michael, though. And However, people who are subscribed to our list on the peerplays.com website are going to find out about it on Sunday. And then following that the next day will be the update. It'll go public. It's pretty big. I can't give you the details. Sorry. It was Michael's job, but unfortunately he couldn't be here. And yeah, that's all for the Peerplays project right now.
So what you're saying is crypto just wants to hold us in wait and make us want the information even more.
His internet got knocked down by a tree in a storm yesterday, so unfortunately it seems Mother Nature is working against us here.
That's what they all say. Well, thank you very much, regardless. We will definitely look forward to hearing about the announcement in our email inboxes.
Yes, on Sunday. If you have gone to the Peerplays website, you can be able to subscribe by putting in your email in the Get Started space. Everybody who's subscribed there is going to receive their information on Sunday. And actually, we are putting out weekly updates on that list regarding the Peerplays project. So anybody who's subscribing to that list is going to know about what's going to be coming out with Peerplays prior to the public being aware of it.
So if they want to go to the Peerplays website, what is the address for that?
www.peerplays.com. So that's peerplays.com.
And you also have a Steem It section, sub Steem It, right?
Yes, we are posting updates on Steem It as well. We have a tag that's called Peerplays. If you look in the sidebar, you can see that we're trending just below another interesting tag. I'll let people go to steemit.com and see what that is. But we are making regular posts on Steemit as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the update.
Thank you, Fuzzy.
Bytemaster, do you have any updates that you would like to get to?
Major update here is a new release of Steem. So if you are mining or running a full node, you should upgrade by the end of the month. There's been lots of developments. You can follow the latest news on the Steemit blog, which is a user account on Steemit where we're posting status updates, announcing new features to the website and the blockchain. So that's a good place for you to get information there. Perhaps one of the biggest things that we just added to Steem, which the BitShares community might want to consider, is enhanced support for hard forking. Namely, the nodes are aware of the potential for hard forks, and they can reach consensus on when the next hard fork will occur through witnesses voting. Once all the nodes know exactly when the hard fork is going to occur, any node that doesn't know what the next hard fork is can shut down because it knows there's supposed to be a hard fork, but it just doesn't have the code that implements it. The effect of this is any nodes that don't upgrade according to the consensus do not create their own minority fork. The exchanges that don't upgrade in time automatically get shut down until they upgrade their software. So it should be something that could improve the reliability, prevent confusion around hard forks, and protect those who aren't paying attention and get out of sync unexpectedly.
So this would help BitShares with any problems that it's already had, or these problems that you foresee in the future?
Anytime you want to have a hard fork to add a new feature, you need the majority of the nodes participating in the consensus to update, or you can get some ambiguity over what the real chain is. It would have protected BitShares in the past when some exchanges didn't know about a hard fork and they ended up on a minority fork. Those types of things are not good for a currency. It's far better to not have service than to have incorrect service to not have new blocks than to have alternative chains that are not compatible. So in general, it works very much. Imagine you're on the Ethereum chain and you've got the entire consensus protocol is all controlled by scripting. The consensus process allows you to determine what the new script is, and people vote on it, and then it takes effect. So if that's what's going on, in BitShares, everything is decided, the new code is going to take effect, and any node that doesn't have the code just stops. So it's just a matter of making sure you have the code so you can continue with consensus. But the whole process should protect all parties involved, and is a refinement in the consensus of upgrading. It also allows upgrades to occur faster in the event that there is an emergency. So every hard fork, you specify the time it takes effect and the version number. And once you get the majority of the witnesses on board and the time has arrived, the hard fork takes effect. If there's an urgent update, you can set the time very early, and as soon as you get the majority of the witnesses upgraded, it takes effect, rather than having to give 24-hour notice or longer. You could upgrade and say, here's an upgrade, it takes effect in 4 hours, or as soon as you get the majority of witnesses. And when that happens, the network will transition seamlessly. Those who were asleep at the time that the vulnerability was discovered will have their nodes shut down until they can wake up and start participating. Either way, you end up with a blockchain that's not creating undesired forks, a blockchain that doesn't switch to a hard fork too soon or too late. So that's the main benefit of that particular feature. And I think that's really powerful.
Why didn't you consider that before, Bytemaster? I'm sure you've thought about the deployment issues of hard fork many times. I'm curious as to what the drawback was that you foresaw putting that type of functionality into the BitShares already was. I mean, in other words, why didn't we not have this capability beforehand? I'm sure you must have thought about it some.
Hard forking is one of those things that we put off because we had a system that was working. It's a little bit trickier on Steem than it is with BitShares because you've got a whole lot of minority block producers and miners. And so that forced us to consider a more robust solution than what we were using for BitShares. With BitShares, we always assumed all the witnesses are quality witnesses. They get things up to date. And the blockchain will continue, and it won't be a problem.
Eliminating those minority forks is kind of a big deal, though, especially if an exchange got on a minority fork. I mean, that's a lot of volume there to deal with. So I think it's a great enhancement. I'm just curious what you're thinking about it was beforehand, and it sounds like, from what I'm gathering, that you didn't see it was going to be a problem, so you didn't put a lot of brain power into coming up with alternatives or more robustness in it.
That's what it boils down to. After the fact, it seems obvious that we probably should have designed that in there from the very beginning, but there are just so many issues around hard forks that make your head spin that you try to simplify the problem. So sometimes obvious improvements and enhancements just don't come to your attention for whatever reason. You're blind to it until something changes and you notice it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to beat you up because it wasn't there. I'm just curious about the rationale behind it. So I think your track record for innovation is strong, and I'm not impinging upon that at all.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious, because I'll say one thing. BitShares 1.0 is used in Lisk, and Lisk is looking like it's going up in coin market cap these days. And that was the 1.0 version.
I'm curious if anyone here who studied Lisk in greater detail would care to give an update of, what's the status, what's your review of it. I haven't had a chance to look into it in great detail, other than knowing that it's a JavaScript implementation of smart contracts and based on DPoS algorithm.
Well, that's a pretty concise way of saying it, actually. What I know is that when I was reading around, I saw that there were people who were having problems with getting their Lisk, and that sending it and receiving was taking hours. But that's, at the launch of a new chain, so who knows what's going to go on.
The key when looking at new technologies being launched is to ignore the small temporary transient issues and look at the deeper technology. Ignore the short-term FUD and look at the long-term value proposition. So anyone having troubles, obviously those troubles will get resolved. So I'm not really concerned about those types of things. I'm really kind of curious of people's opinions on their smart contracts relative to Ethereum.
Oh, G-Chicken's saying that they got DDoSed on launch so that whales could offload to funds and then collect when everyone sold due to the perceived dodginess. So how would this DDoS... do you know how that played out, G-Chicken? Oh, so the web wallets themselves were what was...
It'd be like someone DDoSing OpenLedger, is my understanding.
Yeah. And then a Docker image came out. Is that what they came out with to help fight that so others could create alternative services? Oh, that's kind of cool how that need necessitated the creation of the Docker image, which is something that would be really awesome to have for the BitShares wallet, ironically. Does anybody else have any input on this, but to answer Bytemaster's question?
The information available on Lisk is not very extensive as far as technical aspects are concerned. If you go to their website, they give an overview regarding decentralized applications and side chains and how each application is running its own blockchain in a kind of sidechain implementation. That's pretty much the extent of it, and of course all with DPoS. I'm not entirely clear as to how the 101 witnesses per blockchain occurs, but that seems pretty extensive. But we did do a post actually the other day in regards to Peerplays and Lisk and the prospects of actually having the two networks connect and work together for features that could be introduced to Lisk applications to provide gamification. We posted it on peerplays.com/news, and actually in Twitter it really took off, and all kinds of Lisk users have been retweeting it since yesterday.
Well, that's awesome, actually. I saw it posted to Steem. I haven't read through it all yet. I just kind of looked over it, but it was definitely a cool idea.
I am hoping in the future, though, that they provide more technical details so that not only would we be able to investigate more into that prospect, but also so we could continue on discussions like Bytemaster was asking, so that we could see the technical aspects of what they're doing. I don't see them, the only, they are using DPoS, and we all understand the benefits of that and the JavaScript that, clearly that reaches a large programmer base. However, as far as their comparison to BitShares, I think BitShares is a very different animal to what Lisk is attempting to do. So those are my thoughts on it.
Well, I know that I reached out to Max, I think 3 days ago, and he got back with me, and he said that within the next probably 3 to 4 weeks, he might be able to stop by for a hangout to talk to the community about it. We've had many conversations in the past when Kripke was launched, and now it seems like now that he's moving toward Lisk, we're going to have a little bit of time that we're actually going to be able to talk about it and bring him on to talk about it. So, BM, maybe you can ask him any questions you would need to ask him. And Data, that might offer some opportunity for you as well.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Lisk started following Peerplays the other day, and so have many of their followers. So there's definitely some opportunity for some synergy and collaboration, and the more we can do that, the better.
Sounds good. And maybe we can even do something on Steem it and have everybody upvote it, and I can give him what is earned by that post. Or heck, we could buy a bunch of BitShares and distribute them to any of the Lisk community who joins our hangout. The options that Steem opens in my mind are too much for the amount of time that I have. Bytemaster, I think I noticed you try to talk earlier. Did you have something that you were going to say that I interrupted?
No, I'm good. Does anyone have any questions for me at this point in time?
I'll ask you one. I think it's very important. There is a thread that is on the forums asking, is BitShares dead?
Oh, nope.
You can never really...
No more giggling, Zero.
You can never kill a decentralized animal. BitShares is a robust piece of technology. It's still the best decentralized exchange out there. I don't see anything coming from... I've seen the talks and announcements of exchanges being built on Ethereum, but we all know how that's limited. So, I mean, does anyone else know of anything else that competes with BitShares on a technological level as far as exchanges goes? There are so many people that are providing services with block trades, open ledger, various trading bots. People are, trading the DAO tokens while the IPO is still going on. There's just so many things that are going on BitShares. I don't think BitShares is going to die. It won't die or face the risk of death until a competing product can come along that is a greater network effect and better technology, or at least matching equal technology. The challenges that BitShares faces are user adoption and barriers to entry. These are things that we have been trying to sift through and figure out for the past 3 years almost. It's not an easy challenge, but all crypto projects are facing the same challenges. You'll notice that BitShares is hanging in there with all the projects that are similar nature. Well above Next, similar to Stellar. Those are other decentralized exchanges, if you will. They'll have orders and things like that. So I was looking at the charts and noticing that the rate of filled orders has been increasing steadily for BitShares. It's the trend that's important there. The question of the value of a BitShare is an interesting question to ponder. I think BitShares could be a huge success in terms of lots of people using it for doing exchanges, using it as a decentralized exchange, using it to issue their own tokens, while still having a relatively low market capitalization of BitShares. It's because at this point, a BitShare is just another token on the network. It's a token that's necessary to pay transaction fees, but it's also necessary for, I guess, the shorting of bit assets. The challenge is finding people willing to speculate on the growth of the BitShares currency, because it's the currency that's ultimately backing the bit assets. So I think it's not dead. That's the short answer. The long answer is, what is the value of the token, the BitShares token, in a platform where you can exchange anything? So there's that. So another question is, what do you think of the proposal moving forward to move the settlement to 99% on BitCNY? I responded to this briefly on Steemit. I understand the intent of trying to maintain a peg. The problem with changing something like that is anyone who was buying BitCNY under the old understanding, the old understanding being that there should be a small premium on BitCNY. They bought it with a premium, expecting to be able to sell it with the same premium, right? Now, by changing the rules, they bought it with one premium, and now they're going to be able to sell it at a lower premium, which means a loss that they were not expecting on, a loss inflicted on them by a committee of people. It's very similar to, I guess, a bank or Federal Reserve voting to change the interest rates, which devalue your bonds. So, what do I think about it? I think it's very dangerous. If anything, we've learned changing the rules on investment vehicles, changing the terms of the smart contracts in a way that impacts the value to the people who got in before, if they're not grandfathered, is a major, major issue. So I'd be very hesitant to change it.
Can I quickly interrupt you? Just I have created another worker for those that want to cast that they are against that proposal. They can now vote for the other worker. It's number 40 or something. So now we have essentially one voter for pro and one voter for contra this proposal.
That said, at the end of the day, what's most important is a working system. So if the fact that it's trading for more than $1 is causing traders to not participate or not be able to use it as a currency, that's a problem. So yeah, different people have different opinions on that, which is going to be, is the short-term harm to, I guess one easy way to solve this dilemma is to look at the people who already have BitCNY. I don't know what the total outstanding supply is right now. Maybe someone can look that up while I'm talking. But let's assume it's $50,000 worth of BitCNY. A 1% downward valuation on $50,000 is $500. So if you gave everyone who currently has BitCNY a 1% bonus at the time that you do the, so $92,000 according to CoinMarketCap. So $920 is what it would take to pay everyone who currently has BitCNY an additional 1% to compensate them for any loss in premium as a result of shifting or changing the rules. If you're not willing to pay $1,000 to make the change shouldn't be made.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Bytemaster, could you give a quick description of what's going to happen on July 4th in Steem from the point of view of an individual account holder?
Sure. On July 4th, all the pending payouts, every post that's on the trending page, it's all going to convert to balances in people's accounts. You either have Steem, a combination of Steem Power and Steem Dollars. The only posts that will not convert on July 4th will be those that were posted within 24 hours of July 4th. Those would still be in the pending stage. Effectively, the normal procedure for post payout is at the end of the cash out time, a 24-hour weighted average of votes, a comment receives its payout. We have an extra check in there that says if it's before July 24th, don't pay out. Just skip it. On July 4th, that check will pass, and it'll just adopt the normal rules. It'll have a huge backlog of posts that need to be paid out. And at that point in time, you can expect that a lot of people that have been very active will have much higher weight. Should see a dramatic shifting in the influence over the content on Steem from those who mined or purchased Steem to those who have been producing content or curating. They'll have far more say going forward. And it should be an interesting shift in how the rewards are paid out. So I'm very excited to see that happen. As far as what's going to go on in the markets around that point in time, there's going to be no new Steem entering the market. It's all going to be paid out as vests. Steem dollars will come onto the market. So about $1 million worth of this smart currency, smart coin tied to the dollar, will be created on July 4th. So I think that's probably one of the largest smart coin creations, and also probably one of the best tweeted smart coins to have ever existed. At the same time, the internal market between Steem dollars and Steem will open up on the blockchain. This internal market has no fees. You're only limited by the rate limiting on how much Steem you have, Steem power you have. Not only does it not have any fees, it actually has negative fees if you're providing liquidity. If you're market making, you buy and sell on both sides of the book, and you'll get each and every day, depending on the market cap, about $20,000 worth of Steem power will be allocated to the people who provide the most liquidity, proportional to the liquidity that they provide. So all of that is created by issuing new Steem.
Lucky Bit's asking, where does it come from?
Yeah, that's why I asked it. That's why I said it.
Oh, there you go.
So the primary principle in Steem is that everyone who provides value to the network should receive a share. I used an analogy in a post that think of it as a potluck. Everyone's bringing something to the potluck, and everyone gets a share of the bounty proportional to what they brought to the table. In this case, those who bring liquidity get to share in the bounty. It's a necessary benefit. The whole ecosystem benefits when there's lots of liquidity, which means there's going to be lots of price discovery. Now, you might have noticed that the volume of Steem trading is relatively low. A high day might be $30,000-$40,000 worth of Steem. Typical day is under 10,000. And on July 4th, the rewards that will be paid out for providing liquidity will be greater than the current volumes that we've been seeing. And there will be a lot more people with dollars, Steem dollars, and Steem looking to trade or reallocate or rebalance. So I would expect a flurry of trades at that point in time. It also means price discovery should be more efficient and quick, because everyone's competing to provide liquidity. There's going to be deep books, very thin spreads, and it's going to move toward wherever the price is. Because if you don't trade around the true price, you're going to lose money from the volatility that the rewards won't be able to compensate for. So the way I look at the liquidity rewards in the system is it's subsidizing the cost or the risk of associated with price, establishing a price. When the market doesn't know what it's valued at, providing market making services can be dangerous. You can lose money if the price shifts and there's a lot of volatility. And you might have noticed with Steem, it's up 40% one day, down 30% the next day. It's very volatile right now because less than 1% of all Steem is actually liquid. And much of that is not actually for sale. So it doesn't take much buying power. $10,000 of buying power can push the price up dramatically right now. What this means is anyone trying to discover the price by providing liquidity is taking risks, and you have wide spreads. By subsidizing that, we transfer the risk from the individuals to everyone in Steem, but everyone benefits when there's a more accurate, stable price with higher liquidity. So it's a equal trade. So you ask what's going to happen on July 4th. July 4th is the start of a new era in Steem. After July 4th, payouts or posts are going to be individually scheduled. So every post is going to have a payout at a different time. So it'll be a continuous process. And payouts are going to be going to fresh content, right? Only content that's voted up in any given day gets a payout that day, which should create a incentive for a steady stream of new content to be submitted to Steem.
So there's no point in voting up an old post July 4th?
After a payout occurs, everything resets and you can try to start voting for something again. So it is possible if you can get people to continually re-vote for the same thing for it to get payouts on multiple days. It's also possible that something might not be popular one day, and then all of a sudden something happens in the world that makes it extremely popular, and it gets a bunch of votes and bumped to the top. But after a payout occurs, you go from being the top of the trending page to the bottom, because your pending payout goes from whatever it is to zero.
So it's essentially enabling people to mine an ever-increasing archive of knowledge and content and bring it to the public knowledge, even after it may have worn out of the public mind, and reignite it. And this could be even in terms of like history of Steem. Do you remember this announcement and things like that?
I'm sure some time, 2 or 3 years from now, there will be some meme that got paid out an obscene amount of Steem. It's going to be like $1 million pizza. It's going to be the $1 million meme.
Did I hear
the only meme that to ever really fight Dogi? It'll obviously be a cat with a Jedi sword.
Did I hear you right, Bytemaster, that after July 4th, no new Steem will be created?
No, you did not hear me right. Steem is continuously created because every time someone brings food to the potluck, they get a share in the potluck. And in the long run, we're still in the early phase where Steem is being produced at a fixed rate per day, something like 800 Steem a minute or something is being created right now. And that's a constant 800 Steem per minute. But once the percentage rate falls to 100% per year, the amount of Steem is constant to the percentage rate. So each and every day, the percentage rate is falling from its obscene rate that it was early on to it's asymptotically approaching, well, not quite asymptotic, but it's approaching 0%, right? But as soon as it hits 100%, the protocol shifts the rewards to be percentage based. And then it stays at that percentage rate. Now, most of that, it's 100%, so the amount of Steem doubles every year, and then every 3.3 years, there's a 10-to-1 reverse split, so the supply will stay manageable. It doesn't grow forever. But it's really just an accounting mechanism. We're trying to keep a percentage of ownership of the content. And if you think about it, old content loses value, and new content is of higher value. We need a steady stream of fresh new content. And so those people that are bringing new food need to get shares in the system. Now, this is not a reallocation of wealth. It's a recognition of people contributing to the pot. The fact that existing holders may be debased as new shares are created is like the food at the potluck going stale. One shares in the loss from the food that goes stale. Everyone shares in the gain from the new food that's being brought. Those who are committed long-term, it looks like 100% per year in terms of Steem, but the reality in terms of economic reallocation is only 10% per year, which is less than what Bitcoin has had for most of its life. That's created is distributed proportional to long-term holders. So long-term holders are not actually being debased unless more than 90% of people are long-term holders. And if more than 90% of people are long-term holders, the long-term holders only bear about 10% of the dilution, and the short-term holders bear 90%. So it's an interesting experiment that hasn't been done in crypto. Is what's the impact on a platform when everyone knows that everyone else is holding, and everyone knows that someone else can't run for the exits all at once?
Quick question.
Yes.
So somebody posted one of my articles on Steem, and it's worth a couple $1,000, and I put 10 or 15 of my own articles on Steem, and it's worth about $17. So how do you make a claim to your own work? It seems I'm losing incentive to now add content if somebody else can just add my content and get higher returns.
So the question is, this is a Steem social policy. There's plagiarism. That's one thing, where someone copies someone else's work, posts it as original content, and people vote for them. That's the worst offense. The next bad offense is linking to someone's content, copying someone's content and then just linking to it. I assume they linked to your original content, or do they plagiarize you?
It seems like. Well, I mean, I'm not complaining. I think it's great every time in the real world of social media. I praise anybody who puts my content somewhere else, assuming that they're not going to be compensated, and I get the recognition. And I'm not too sure of the intricacies of who gets paid and who doesn't. But this article, I do appreciate the person putting it up, and I do appreciate the acknowledgement it's getting. But it does seem like it's somebody's saying, "Hey, this is a great article. Go look at it," and they link to it. And in the world of social media, that's all fair game. But in the world of Steem, that account, I suspect, is being credited disproportionately to their investment in the content.
Well, there's a lot of factors involved here. Anytime someone posts a link to other information, it's the bringing that information to the attention of the community is a lot of the value. So they're being paid for letting the community know about it more than necessarily paying for the content. The incentives for here is that when you see someone posting your article and making money off it, that you post your article here first. And anytime someone posted after that, if you see it, you reply to them and say, here's the original. The original guy will get downvoted. You'll get more traffic to your article, and you might even make some additional money for pointing out that there was a dupe. I think as a culture, Reddit and other social media have a culture of not posting your own work. Steem has the opposite. Post your own work. Be the first to post your own work, because that's the only way that you guarantee you get paid.
Another cool thing that would be possible, well, I don't know if it's possible, I assume it is, would be if I could say go ahead and post Dan Robles' content and give him credit. And in doing so, I get a cut of whatever that upvote is, but the rest goes to a pool, and people can actually reach out to somebody if they don't have an account, or somebody, if they do have an account, can cash in on that pool at any time. So that ever expanding pool, like let's say I post all of, how many blog posts do you have, Dan Robles?
500-600.
So let's say I go into that treasure trove, and I get 5% of all of it, and 95% of all of those 600 articles value pool together. And then eventually I say, hey, Dan, I've posted this content for you for this X amount of time, and I would like you to start posting too, instead, and here's the money. I've already taken a cut.
Okay, so I took my content and I put it onto Steem, and I put it in the wrong category. So I figured, if I put on Fuzzies Beyond Bitcoin, I'll get more money for that. So I tried to post it again, and Steem restricts me. So here I am caught in a do loop with 23 years of it took me to write this content. It's you don't just dream this up. It's 23 years that this content is a result of a lot of work, and I still can't get past that original post. It's blocking me at several turns, and it's there's no incentive really for original content from my point of view. I rather just put it on Twitter. I get some back for it in terms of traffic to my blog, or I'm actually deriving revenue from people who are actually using my work to build things.
Well, the idea of Steem is like Twitter. You have a Twitter feed, you have your own page where people can read all your blog posts by going to your account and see that. People will eventually be able to follow you on there directly. And if you get a lot of users on Steem who have, and they vote for your work, you'll make more money by building a following on Steem and posting it there than you will the other way. If you're having trouble posting, or are you getting rate limited, or what's the?
I don't know. Maybe it's a bug. I'm not certain. But what you're asking me to do is create the content and then do the same amount of work as somebody who could simply copy my content does. So they're rewarded for bringing the content to the attention of the group. I'm not rewarded for doing both, creating the content and bringing it to the attention of the group, because I was second on my own content. I mean, I'm not complaining. I mean, it's just something that I think that other content creators would have a bit of a concern with. And given so many other places to deposit content with other tangible benefits, it just seems like a hard sell. But again, I told you before, it's a great idea. I think it's a fantastic experiment. But these are some of the critical issues that may need to be discussed, at least actively.
What do you think about adding verified accounts?
One of the things that would be great to investigate is make sure that the authors are rewarded more than people who just link to them. As a community, I think people who point out that something's been plagiarized, they're going to make money because they're going to get an upvote, and the plagiarizer is going to get downvotes because.
But I don't want to be a dick either, because the guy who posted it, I think, is a friend of mine, and he was in his mind doing me a favor, and I appreciate that. So it's a counterculture that now I've got to go and police it, and I've got to maybe take a friend who intended to do some good to me and tell him, hey, that's evil. It's hard to push that around.
I'd say I would not view it as, anytime you're looking at what other people are getting, and saying, he made a lot of money off of my work, rather than just say, oh, great, he made money off of my work, good for him. I think as a culture, we need to look at, well, did he actually take anything from me, or did he not take something from me? And the reality is that sharing and posting information, particularly if there's attribution to you and a link to your blog, is not taking anything from you. You're getting the credit, you're getting the recognition, you're getting the attention of everyone who's reading your work. The masses get to read what you say, so your ideas get to live on. And he made some money for doing it, but great. That's Twitter is making money, and Facebook is making money, and Reddit's making money off of other people sharing your work. The only difference here is that the people that are sharing it are effectively the stakeholders in Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. And so, yes, they make money when they shared your work and people voted it and they liked it. But at the end of the day, everything is new value that's being created. And it's not taking anything from you. You have an additional opportunity. Whether you want to use it or not is, depends entirely on the service it's providing you, right? It's another way of posting. Like if you would post your thing to Reddit and Twitter and Facebook, you post it here too, you might get some money from Steem, but most importantly, you get links. You'll be building your brand, your following, you get your ideas out there. So if you get caught up on Steem's paying you for providing the content, or it's trying to pay the authors, what it's really doing is it's paying people who provide value to the community. And in this case, the value to the community is bringing someone's work to the attention of the community and hosting it in a way where it can be discussed. So obviously your friend made some money. And so you provided value to your friend beyond just what you shared, but also because he was able to take the value you shared with him, share it with others. And I say it's great for everyone.
What if my incentive is to just repost Wikipedia articles, and now that's taken from the public domain? Now, conceptually, I donate everything I do to the public domain, so I'm not in that mode of snatch and grab by any stretch of. And all my work is public domain by definition. But so is Wikipedia. If I was to just repackage Wikipedia articles and post that on Steem, I would be compensated. And if I should need to, pay my bills and feed my family, then I would stop producing original content, because now I'm motivated to take non-original content and put it on Steem. Is that a consideration?
In my experience, the people who copy and paste stuff don't get as many upvotes. And over time, it won't be perceived as valuable. Copy and paste in Wikipedia or other articles, unless it spurs a big discussion or it's really hot, right? You posted at just the right time. If you wrote a bot that just started posting random Wikipedia stuff, you'd probably get tuned out and filtered out by people. You'd probably get some big players that would just start downvoting everything you do automatically. So there's a huge social dynamic here, trying to find subjective proof of value, proof of work. And if people feel you brought value, then that's all that matters, is that they feel you brought value. Saying that you could just post random stuff and get paid for it is, I think it's unrealistic. It hasn't been the case. We have one person, Tuck. He's been posting all kinds of things, created bots to repost things from Reddit. And for his efforts, he's made a lot less per post than people who have one-hit wonders, right? They post something great, and it shoots to the top, and they get thousands of dollars worth of steam.
So like Wikipedia, if I was to post Wikipedia articles, then I will be downvoted, and that's public domain. And if I was to post my own articles, which are public domain, I would therefore be downvoted as well if I chose to be anonymous, correct?
If you try to keep your account anonymous, so basically people don't know that the poster on Steam is the same as the author of the content, chances are that, yes, you would probably be downvoted. Unless you provide attribution, point out that this is public domain and people find that it's value to this network, then you might get upvoted, just like sharing any other relevant information could get you upvoted. But if you establish a pattern and a reputation for just posting stuff that's not appropriate for the day, right? Too frequently or other ways that are not appreciated, then it might backfire. So
okay, so I'm creeping around the concept of identity, and I just did it with R3 and those guys. We had a big discussion on identity and all that stuff. So this is what I'm getting at. I mean, I'm not trying to bust your balls or anything, Bytemaster. I'm just trying to get at these concepts. So you have to be identity. By exposing your identity, there's some utility in that, and there's no utility in trying to be anonymous. So if you post fairly controversial work and you don't want to really be attached to it, what are those dynamics going to appear like in this market for content?
Sure. Well, let me interrupt real quick, guys. There's just one thing. I'm sorry, Bytemaster, but there's something that I would love to plug in here, because I think that there's something that's being ignored, and that is that there are actual professional social media managers who are paid to post other people's content consistently to social media platforms, right? So the value here is, in my mind, that Steem provides a platform where you don't have to be hired on by Dan Robles, aka Ingenesist, to promote his blog posts. But if there will be a group of people who will kind of fill that market. And once there are too many people posting those posts, so it's kind of saturated, the market becomes saturated, there's not going to be as much of a need for 40 people posting all of Dan and Genesis's articles, right? So you're going to see kind of a balance form there, I think. Do you guys understand what I mean?
Yes, the market's going to sort this out. This is a market of people everyone is trying to figure out the value of everyone else's contribution. It's as simple as that. And you're
and you make money
right.
from promoting each other's content.
Right now, there's going to be middlemen. Someone who posts someone else's links, they're a middleman. When people realize that the middlemen are making a lot of money, they'll cut out the middlemen and start posting directly. And
bingo.
In some sense, that's the magic of the platform. Is the community values it, and you get paid for bringing it to the community with proper attribution to the author. But you don't get paid for spamming. I have no idea what's going to be subjectively valued or not. All I know is that I am sure people with large stakes will probably have bots set up with metrics. There'll be automatic plagiarism detections. People will take your post, search for it on Google, see if they can find it elsewhere. People automatically tag posts as, yes, this is original according to my bot, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, the content is going to get filtered and voted on, and people will fight for badges. Fight for, right now it's really easy to post things relatively trivial and get thousands of dollars, but that's not going to last. It's going to require is it's like mining. The more people that compete, the harder it gets to do. But when you do hit it big, you make a lot of money. So it's an experiment, like everything else out there. We'll see how it unfolds.
It just seems like an opportunity to kind of figure out a way to find those original that original content as quickly as possible and elevate it as quickly as possible instead of subjecting them to the same market drag that everybody else is, or and they should stand out as fast as possible. And I'm not sure how that would be done, of course, but something to think about.
Hey, Ingenesist.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I really quick, whenever you go into steemit.com and you log in, you can go to permissions section. So I'm looking at Official Fuzzy's permissions, and I have posting. I can actually change the password for posting privileges, and it looks like I could pass that out to people to post to my account. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Bytemaster?
Yeah, you can, and if you are an advanced user, you can give each person their own password, and you can use one of n multisig, and then you know exactly who posted what. In fact, you don't even have to do passwords. You can just specify accounts. It's the hierarchical multisig like BitShares. So you can add other people who can post to your account, and we'll know when they post that they're posting on this account, but it was signed by another account.
Can I hook in here? That's actually pretty much what Streamian.com is doing for trying to get some Reddit users into Steemit or Steem. It works like this. If you don't have a Steem account, Streamian.com creates a new account for you and provides you with the private keys. It also adds his own account into the posting authority of the new created account. So in the end, people that are creating their accounts on Streamian.com I will be able to post in their names. And that's what the Reddit bot is doing. Whenever the guys write a new submission to Reddit, I see that and post a Reddit comment in their names in Steemit or Steem. So whenever they get upvoted, they can claim their funds eventually using their own private keys, even though I posted the content through their name. You know what I mean?
How do you spell Streamium? Is it .com?
Yep. There's a pre-announcement on Steem. I can give you a link.
Okay, so STREEMIAN.com. It's not up yet, though?
It is in testing phase. I have a post where there's some invitation codes. Let me give you a link. But you will probably run into quite some issues. There's one problem. If you already have a Steem account, you can link your Steem account, but I will only be able to copy your posts or cross-post on Steem if you add Streamian as a posting authority to your account using the Klee wallet. So that's still a little advanced tech. I'm not sure how to fix that. Maybe I can figure out something.
Well, yeah, please keep us up to date. And everybody who's here who does have a Steemit account, please consider going and checking out the content that he posted.
While we are at it, I do have another project running. I wouldn't call it finished. It's just as finished as it needs to be for calling it a MVP or something. I call it a stake machine with a K, stake machine.
Yeah.
And it is essentially a Python-based trading infrastructure that you can deploy on any virtual private machine without needing the Klee wallet or anything else. In fact, if you go to the GitHub account, GitHub link in the chat, you will see that there's a deploy on Heroku link, so you can essentially create a market making bot with just a few clicks. It has the disadvantage that you need to expose your active private key to Heroku, but well, you can also run it on your own. The nice thing with the stake machine is that it gives you a interface for writing your own bots, kind of thing. And well, since recently it does not need the Clee wallet running, so I'm hoping for the liquidity pod from Kencode's team to also update to the new code base so that they don't need to run Docker images and can basically do all the stuff in Python.
And what is the benefit to doing it all in Python as opposed to using a Docker image?
It's way easier. Docker images are heavy. Python code is easy to run. Actually, the stake machine is, if you install a stake machine, it gives you a binary that you can, not a binary, it gives you a script, and all you need to provide to the script is a configuration file. And then you say stake machine run, and then it runs continuously without needing to contact any Clee wallet or anything, except for a public API node.
So you can go into that file and just edit any of the parameters you want in the config file and then start it up and run it.
Precisely. The problem with trading bots has been that usually people just call a API from some exchange like Poloniex or whatever, and they offer endpoints for buy this, sell this, get the market history and blah, blah. And this was not so easy in BitShares because you always need to not only connect to a full node to get the data, but also needed to connect to a Clee wallet to actually trade something. And to get a Clee wallet running is not very easy because you need to compile the code or download some binary from GitHub. And this is not needed now anymore because it's just like a little more Python code than compared to a regular API. But in the end, the interface is pretty much the same thing as Poloniex, or like using this trading bot infrastructure. It's really pretty easy to deploy and run a market maker on BitShares now. And the cool thing with Heroku, let me give you Heroku, or I don't even know how you pronounce this in English. The cool thing here is that you can deploy this market maker for free, and it runs 18 hours a day. So you have 18 hours a day for market making, and it doesn't cost you a penny, at least for running the bot. Whether the bot makes a profit or not is another thing. That's up to you, how you tweak your parameters, but running the bot is for free. With Heroku, which has the disadvantage being that you have to expose your active private key to Heroku so that their machines can actually do the trades. But you can also deploy a stake machine on your own virtual private systems if you want.
Well, I'll tell you what I would be interested in would be seeing if we could get something together where people could actually join up and learn how to use those market making bots.
Yeah, that's the next step.
Well, let me know when you're ready for that next step.
Okay.
Well, anybody have any comments for Xerox or Dan or Data or Ingenesist?
Regarding the use of the market maker.
Pardon?
Regarding the use of the market maker bot, that Fuzzy was just talking about, well, that would seem like it would require some economic education as well.
In general, writing bots or trading bots is something that is out of my scope. I have not much experience in that. This market making bot there is pretty simple. It does what you call trade the spread. So you define a spread of say 3% or 5% or anything, and all it does is it places buy and sell orders left and right of the last trade, so in the bid side and the ask side, and waits for those orders to get filled. Once the orders are filled, the other order is one of the orders is filled, the other order is cancelled, and 2 new orders are placed around the new last price. That's actually everything that this trading bot is doing. And whether that makes you a profit is something that depends on the market, of course.
Sure, but what you're saying is
the market and the bot parameters, of course, are going to influence that.
Absolutely. But the parameters are in the configuration file.
Yeah, so let's say if I say that I want to buy BTS 3% lower than X price and sell it at 3% above, I set essentially how much I buy, and then let's say that's 10,000 BTS, and I buy that 10,000 BTS, and it's going to mark that trade at 3% less than the price that it's going to try to sell that at at 3% above what I purchased it for. But if it doesn't accomplish that, if it never goes above that, it won't sell it, so it will no longer keep executing buy orders. So you're kind of limited on how much you can lose, is what I'm gathering here. Is that correct?
All it does is it places 2 orders and waits for those 2 orders, or waits for one of these orders to get filled. Precisely, it resets. But it doesn't reset on the old price, but it resets on the new price.
So you might just sit there waiting for a long time because it's only made one trade because your parameters are terrible.
Yes, precisely. The nice thing is this bot essentially makes money out of the volatility of markets. So if you used a spread of, say, 5%, you're putting buy and sell orders at plus minus 1.5%. And if the markets are moving 3% a day or an hour or anything, you make money on any trade that happens. This is
isn't that what all trade bots do, though? Is exactly that algorithm? Where it's just looking for the spread and to capitalize on it. Why is that one any different?
It's not any different. It's just one of the basic market-making mechanisms. You can do way more sophisticated stuff, and using the price history and using exponential moving average stuff, and using all the old history of trading and doing heuristic stuff. But that one is the most easiest one.
Now, with regard to how lucrative it is to just do the straightforward mining, with the straightforward bot algorithm you just described, to capitalize on and to pull some money out of the volatility that's going on, standard volatility in any crypto, how lucrative is that? How realistic is it to make much of a return doing that?
It depends on what the market prices goes to in the future, and no one can tell you that. It depends on the variance of the market price. If you have a high variance, then you can make more money than if you are trading on a market that has low variance. If the market goes on a straight line to the left, nothing happens, and you're not trading at all.
So if you buy something that swings from $1 to $5 generally throughout the day on a couple occasions, and you know that, then you can capitalize on that volatility 4 to 5 times a day, and that is going to make you a heck of a lot more money than having to trade at spreads that are far lower because you're dealing with something like BTS that's not as volatile.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am kind of interested in this trading bot, and I'm kind of interested in getting a group of people together who are interested in setting one up too. And if you guys would like to go ahead and PM me on the forums at Fuzzy, and I will look into compiling a little list of people who are interested in that. I mean, I think we really need to use these types of tools to help build the BitShares ecosystem, right? I mean, we can have these tools available, but if we don't have hordes of people using them, then we're not really doing what we could be doing with those tools to uplift this, what Bytemaster called the decentralized exchange, BitShares.
Now,
right?
isn't it true that the more bots that are applied this way will reduce the spread that each of the bots can capitalize on?
Yep.
Yes.
So it will work good initially for the early adopter. The people that put these bots in early will get more of an advantage than those that come along later, which is fine. It makes sense.
Well, what I think you'll see is a lot of people start out using the basic functionality that Xerox is talking about. And then as the market begins to gain more traction and all these various markets start gaining more volume and losing volatility, you're going to have people coming up with like what Xerox was talking about with the advanced options of using it and using trades and stuff like that. And at that point in time, I think that you're going to see the basic trading bot won't be nearly as profitable. But guess what? At that point, the volume on our exchange will be very beautiful. So,
One more thing before I need to leave. I'm already in a hurry. The stake machine does not only provide you with a simple market making mechanism, it already has a few more sophisticated, I call them strategies, even though they are not really strategies. For instance, there's one plugin that allows you to monitor your collateral ratio. So you define a range where your ratio should be, and if it crosses your thresholds, then it resets to something that you want to have, actually. There's another strategy that monitors the core exchange rate and fixes the core exchange rate, and also one for monitoring the fee pool and stuff like that. So this can all be added as a kind of strategy or automation into that thing. It's not entirely complete yet. Some of these methods still require the Klee wallet, but I will fix them in the weeks ahead. Okay, guys, I need to leave. See you soon.
Thank you very much, Xerox, and thank you everybody else who has been participating in this conversation. Is there anything that we haven't covered this week that you guys think you would like to cover?
Perhaps an update on stealth and blinded amounts by default.
Well, that would be good if Ken Code was here, but unfortunately he's not. And it looks like Once Upon a Time has also left. So I'm the only one that could possibly even give you an update on that. And unfortunately, I don't have that information.
Thanks
Ken
anyway.
Code, yeah, no problem, Brendel. Ken Code is in a meeting today that with Chris. They apparently have an all-day meeting, which, just so you guys know, I mean, the people who attend these hangouts are busy in this ecosystem. That's why I say that there's a lot below the surface. Well, I greatly appreciate you guys all taking the time. I greatly appreciate Bytemaster showing up to answer the questions for Steem and BitShares. And really, I want to let you guys all know before we end this that now that Steem is available for us, I am looking for people who want to try to help me find content and cryptocurrency communities that would help BitShares. And I feel like if we can use that Steemit platform to help pay a group of people to bring on board other cryptocurrencies and their news, and we can start covering those things, and we can start bringing on their key community members on. I think that these are the ways that we are going to build relationship that are going to help keep BitShares strong and help it evolve. And not only that, but help the people who have been busting their butts on BitShares gain some new people in their networks who they can leverage to help BitShares and leverage BitShares to help them, right? So I would like to just let everybody know that please check out the Steem It Beyond Bitcoin sub-Steem It. Feel free to post content there. And one more reminder, after the day after these Hangouts from now on, I'm going to be posting the RSVP. Those who post to that RSVP for the next month during this test period and have their project or their post voted up will have their post or their project covered first. So the person with the highest voting power behind their post is going to be the one that we are going to talk about first in our Hangouts. That's how we're going to establish the order of precedence over the next month. So join up there and upvote people's content and projects, and we'll know what to cover in the BitShares ecosystem and beyond. But I did want to say, Dan, you bring up some very good points, and these are points that I think that as part of this experiment, there are various things that we could do to improve some of these things, right? Like, one cool thing would be if every time I posted your content, I could essentially tag your account so you're notified, and I can give you X amount of the tokens. And if you see me always posting before you and I'm always giving to you in return, you might have an incentive to say, you know what? Why don't you start posting our content for us? I'll give you the posting password, and you can post our content for us there and always get a cut of the proceeds for doing so, because you're obviously one of the best at posting it first, right?
Yeah, and also somebody may have the ability to discern content that I've written as being timely when I don't necessarily have the overhead to go and keep up with all that. The way I make my money is I post to the public domain my content, and that takes a wild and crazy path throughout the universe, and it comes back to me in these twisted, strange ways. I'll be asked to sit on a board or produce a panel or speak or paper, and the opportunities open up. I get to pick and choose projects that I like for my engineering company, and I'm pretty much, I can't tell you when my next dollar is coming, but I know it's coming statistically, and my cash flow is nice and even. I'm well diversified for ups and downs. So it's a beautiful thing. And so, I'm not a millionaire, but we have a few nice things. And so the idea now is that you're asking me and my peers are similar to come to work on this Steem and invest some overhead and to sort of jump into a mosh pit of bots and speculators fighting for scraps of my own meat. It's not very attractive. I mean, I don't mean to put it that way. It's just sort of, that's the real picture. It's not very attractive.
How it feels to you.
Well, no, it just, that's just what it looks like. Just to put a label on it. And I guess it's a worst case. I'm just exaggerating and trying to be a little bit comical. But so that's both the challenge and the opportunity. How do you make it not so, or how do you make it attractive to the people who produce? So you're looking for a game to rise the best content to the top. That might not be it. Something else needs to be done. And
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
One thing that I was noticing, and I don't know if you're noticing it, but as I project out into the future, I see groups of people coordinating to upvote content. And in so doing, they would do this to make more money for themselves and then rinse and repeat, right? And I was thinking to myself, that might be okay if we had something like called faction tokens or something like that, where you could distribute Steem USD to the token that you have. So I might have Beyond Bitcoin token, and I give it out to those who post content under Beyond Bitcoin that reaches a certain upvote threshold, and maybe some other parameters that I feel are valuable, and then I can have the content that I post, part of that distributed to those people who hold that coin. So you could actually have a group of people who help try to uplift your content because they have a stake in the value of your content. And just by giving them that stake, they have an incentive to constantly work for you to basically become like a magnifier of your own voice.
Well, right.
Do you see this as being a valuable community building tool that could be integrated?
Yes, absolutely. And one of the perils that you're avoiding when you do that is copyright law, because, again, by definition, every time I hit the publish button, I have a copyright on that material, and I just choose not to enforce it. So if somebody was to take my content and go actually make money, that's a whole new different game than sharing. Now you have something called consideration, and by law that puts you in a precarious condition, you and the platform. So to post, if somebody's making an excessive amount of money on your content and you decide, well, I'm going to enforce my copyright, then a legal challenge can bring down the whole platform for everybody. So you would want to somehow kick back or at least secure rights to content in some manner. And I think a multi-sig approach would be a tremendous demonstration of the power of extending copyright through blockchain technology. And that could be, the opportunity that we're looking for to fix this challenge. So remember, I complain a lot, but I always always try to get to the solution to that complaint. And you're right, maybe that would be the way to handle copyrights in general on blockchain.
Well, I just am curious because I know from our own conversations that whenever you bring up something, you're bringing it up from an engineering perspective, right? Which means if something is not going to work in this way, reality will hit you in the face with it, and an engineer knows that. So they just try to hit you in the face with it before reality does, because it's just a little slap as opposed to a big punch.
Well, it's a combination of experiences. I've lived in a third world country. I was a professional musician. I have an MBA, and I'm an engineer. So these are all the pieces that are the toolkits that I extract from. And again, if you don't think living in a third world country is significant experience for blockchain interpretation, then you should try it sometime. It's truly expansive. So so that's kind of the toolkit I'm playing with.
Dan, I'm really enjoying hearing your perspective on the whole copyright thing. I just have one practical suggestion, because I did notice that when you posted a bunch of your content on Steem, you did so one after the other. I don't know how many articles you posted, and it was all kind of in the middle of the night. You might want to, because another component of this is, people are going to miss what's just kind of dumped out there all at once if you don't kind of drip them out one at a time with some formatting and some kind of care, and then people begin to look for the content. I really appreciate everything that you write, and would be there to upload it as well, but it's hard when they're all kind of just dropped all at once, because even if I like all your articles, I'm not going to upload every single one of them in one fell swoop. So
right,
really just as a practice,
that makes a lot of sense.
Links, smaller digestible chunks,
and that makes a lot of sense. One, I don't know markup, so I got all hung up in all that stuff. So now that's another challenge. I need to go master a language. So that's a barrier holding me out from this community is my inability to use that formatting tool. And then two, I was testing the system. So how do you test the system? You stress it. So that's why I dropped a bunch of articles on there. And I didn't even really understand the ramifications that I wouldn't be able to change them later. Of course, it's a blockchain. So I kind of caught myself with that as well. So it's learning and testing, and that's kind of the motivation behind the dump. And also it's a form of overhead. I mean, it takes a lot of time to monitor a platform on a continuous basis to understand precisely when the right article needs to go at the right time to the right person in the right place. It's really anti-scalability. So if, I think the ability to take an hour at 2 o'clock in the morning when, I can't sleep to drop a couple of articles on Steem is to my best interest, or something that I'm able to do much more, much better. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, and I think the tools are going to evolve and make it a lot easier both to find content that, that individuals have posted, and to, like Markdown, for instance, is kind of a challenge for some people, but not too complex if you take a little bit of time to figure out how to format in it.
It's just a matter of learning a new language.
You don't have to learn a new language. You can use HTML.
Well, no, he's talking about markup because that's the native language of Steemit. So I agree, because Xerox and I have worked on some documents before, and he's a big proponent of markup as well. And I looked at it at that time, and it's just a matter of, like, you learn a new application, you got to figure out the hotkeys are to do it well. That's really what it amounts. It's not anything complex. It's just a barrier. It's a small barrier.
What I'm saying is that Markdown supports HTML, so you can use HTML tools and just paste HTML into the Markdown.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And I would imagine it's just a matter of time until there's some sort of easy formatting options built right into the web, the GUI. So I don't anticipate everybody in the future needing to know how to use asterisks and hashtags to format their material, but for now that's what we have, so it behooves us to learn it.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Dan, I will definitely help you with the Markdown and show you the basics if you ever want to.
There are some really simple guides online too. If you just search for a Markdown cheat sheet, there it is. It's all kind of lists, bold, italic, all the things you'll actually header. Once you figure out like 4 or 5 things, it's pretty simple. I say that as a non-coder.
Well, I'll let you guys. Yeah, I let
what
you
do
guys
you mean,
know.
Non-coder? We know better than that.
Okay,
you can claim not to be a non-coder, but when you have a piece of work like CryptoFresh out there, it's kind of hard to say that you're a non-coder when you put that together.
Sounds good. And just so everybody else here knows, we have a Beyond Bitcoin group, and I have the Slack open where, if you guys are interested, go ahead and PM me on the forums with your email address, and I'll add you to the Slack so you can post content that you want to have upvoted and that you think is valuable. And I will gladly look at it, and it'll be a place where everybody else can look at it too. So I'm going to spend a lot of time using that for Beyond Bitcoin's sub-Steemit, but it's by no means just for Beyond Bitcoin content. Now, thank you guys. I think that we're getting close to the 2-hour mark, so I appreciate everybody for being here, and we'll see you guys next Friday. Make sure to upvote the post of the actual content and upvote the RSVP post tomorrow.
Thank you, Fuzzy. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Fuzzy. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Fuzzy. Bye.